Number 3, ear problems. This is for 513. You're listening to Eagle Eye News at 7 on Eagle Country 106.3 and Pet Tips heard not only on the radio, but around the world. We're busy on the World Wide Web. Well, here we go this week with ear problems. The ears have it. Good morning, doctor.
Yeah, well, ear problems. The specific ear problem I want to talk about is the aural hematoma. So anytime you hear the word aural, that means referring to the ear, okay? And a hematoma basically is a word for a blood pocket. Okay. And so if you think about it, it's an ear blood pocket. So these are the dogs, and we just had one recently, that they come in, you come home, and their ear's swollen. It looks like a water balloon.
Yeah.
You're like, what happened there? Or if you had an upright ear and now it's a down ear, and you feel these things, and you can feel them because they feel like they've got fluid in it. And if you put a needle in this, you're going to get frank hemorrhage out of there.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's happened there is typically the dog is shaking its head, and then it slaps and hits something, and the blood vessel busts. Kind of like if you've ever hit something with your hand and you bust a blood vessel in your hand. Okay, well that hurts, and then you get a little bit of bruising there. Same thing happens here, but what happens then, the bleeding then separates the skin from the cartilage. Okay, and so you get this giant balloon. Now, if you have that happen, it's not a life-threatening condition, but it should be treated surgically to get it gone, because if you don't, what happens with that blood is it begins to contract and form fibrin, and you'll get this cauliflower ear, kind of like wrestlers or rugby players, okay? And the same thing with the dogs. If you ever see these dogs that kind of have the gnarled up looking ear, that was an untreated hematoma. Now, is it life-threatening? No, but that ear is more sensitive to being bumped. And I think if you ask the dog with the cauliflower ear, would you rather have that ear or not have the ear, the dog would probably say, I'd rather have a normal-looking ear, thank you very much. And so you do want to treat these. And what we typically do is the key is to establish a way for the blood to get out of the pocket, and then the other thing is to sandwich that skin back down to the cartilage so it can reattach. So usually there's some form of hole system, and there's about 6 or 7 different ways of doing this, and every veterinarian has their way of doing it. And then there's also a suturing to hold the ear together. Now the big key though is for the next 2 weeks you need to keep the holes open, because if you don't keep them open, then you're going to end up refilling back up, and then you'll run into issues. So if you got one of those little swellings, you want to get it checked as soon as possible. Let them get to work on it, get that thing fixed.
Does it affect hearing at all?
What's that? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Now, what could happen is if there was an ear infection to start with, they shake their head and they combust it, but that's the ear infection that starts it. But it's all in the flappy part that we call the pinna.
All right, and we'll be back right after this.